When I began to reflect on the theme of peace, a memory floated through my head. It was Christmas Eve. The 11 o'clock service was over. The college kids had done a wonderful job of serving communion. The congregation had lit their candles and sung Silent Night. Now, home to pick up the dog and then on the road. 2-hour drive to my family. I was tired. Children's musical, caroling with the youth group, decorating, choir practices, Christmas crafts, and on and on and on. The work of a church educator during Advent. It was about 1 o'clock when I hit the road. Not sleepy yet, but definitely exhausted. And then it happened. The moon was full, the stars were bright, the traffic was very light, no trucks. I began to relax. An overwhelming, peaceful feeling settled into my soul. Anxiety faded away, tension released. I slowed down a little so I could catch glimpses of the moon and the stars. Peace, a holy gift. And then yesterday afternoon, I was at the Pikes Peak Center to see the Nutcracker. My granddaughter was a soldier. Before the show, we were sitting at a table, listening to the children's chorale sing Christmas songs and talking at the same time, so it was just half listening. Until we got up to go. The choir was singing its last song, Peace, peace, peace on earth and goodwill to all. I wish I could sing it, but my voice doesn't work. I stopped to really listen. They continued, this is the time for joy. This is the time for love. Now let us all sing together of peace, peace, peace on earth. I felt a tear roll down my cheek. I had not expected a gift of peace at the Nutcracker. I went home, got the music. We need a choir to sing it on Christmas Eve. If you want to be in the choir, let me know. So much of what we do gets in the way of peacefulness. Hustle and bustle, card shopping, church services, anxiety about family, travel, or the state of the world, distractions about money or job duties or children or school, or life is crazy. So crazy that we often miss the glimpses of peace. So, picture for a moment the world we live in. Taxes going up, at least for some of us. The poor going hungry, food banks overwhelmed. People unable to pay their debts, going into bankruptcy or slavery. Fear of ICE or of Roman centurions who would round up criminals and crucify hundreds of them alongside the road for all to see. The religious establishment walking a tightrope, hoping not to trigger the anger of their Roman overseers. This was Pax Romana. No wars, but This is the world we live in. It's the world in which Jesus was born, both. And we could name other times in history that were just as brutal and unfair all over the world. There are many references to peace in the Christmas story, and I'll include one of them in a minute. But I found myself drawn to the Gospel of John, passages that describe the last few days of Jesus' life. Imagine Jesus with his disciples and friends gathered round. Jesus has told them that he's about to leave them. He knows his death is near. He assures them that the Holy Spirit will be with them. They find that hard to believe. They don't understand. Jesus is leaving them. Imagine the faces of his friends: fear, sadness, hopelessness. Not unlike the faces we sometimes see today. And then Jesus says, "My peace I give to you." Actually, in this part of John's Gospel, this scene repeats itself several times. Chapters 14 to 17, almost all red, if you have a red version of where Jesus speaks in red. In several settings, Jesus tells his disciples he's leaving them. He tells them that they will receive the Holy Spirit to remind them of what they have learned and to empower their ministry going forward. They object. They're confused. They raise questions. How can this be? And the setting changes and the whole discourse repeats itself. The first setting is right after Jesus washes their feet before the Passover meal. John does not tell the story of the Last Supper that Mark, Matthew, and Luke tell. Jesus takes the role of a servant and washes their dusty feet. You remember, Peter objects. Jesus tells him that having his feet washed is part of belonging to Jesus. And Jesus tells the disciples that they are to wash one another's feet. At this point, Judas leaves and the discourses begin. Over and over again, Jesus tells them he's leaving them. And they ask, why? Where are you going? Why are you leaving us? What are we supposed to do now? Within these dialogues, Jesus makes several important statements. I give you a new commandment, that you're to love one another. Don't let your hearts be troubled. Believe in God. Believe also in me. The disciples don't get it. Why? We don't understand. Jesus takes a break, and then he goes at it again. These chapters are hard to read. One reason is probably that John didn't have a computer to help him edit them. No AI either. But I think these words that go round and round and tangle up with each other, they fit perfectly. The disciples are confused. They're scared. Their world is a mess, and their leader is leaving them? Hearing Jesus talk about peace and the Holy Spirit once is just not enough. 3 times in these chapters, Jesus says, "My peace I give to you," or "so that in me you may have peace." Over and over again, simply because they could not comprehend that Jesus would leave them. And how could Jesus share his peace with them then? Peace in these days? We need to hear these words over and over again, too. My peace I leave with you. So, I've been asking myself, what is Jesus' peace? Where does it come from? How do we see it in Jesus? Jesus seems to be okay with himself. He's about to die, but he's steadfast in moving forward. He is at peace with what is happening. He's accepted it, come to terms with it. Now, John doesn't tell the story of Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane, where he struggles with his impending death while his disciple friends fall asleep. In that scene, Jesus faces his fear, expresses his fears, and then comes to terms with what's happening. He leaves the scene at peace with God. Jesus seems to trust God, not just with his physical life, but with his very self. He knows this relationship will not come to an end. Gospel of John doesn't tell that story, but it does help us understand. Jesus accepts what is happening. The writer of the Gospel of John wrote sometime after the fall of Jerusalem. The temple and all the ritual that went with it are gone. The Christians have scattered. There are small groups of them in a wide variety of places: Rome, Antioch, Ephesus, Egypt. They gather in what we might call a house church, or in one of the catacombs, or in a cave in Turkey. They're very careful. Romans lurk everywhere. They aren't welcome in Jewish synagogues either. John writes to them, encouraging them in their life together. Don't be anxious. Trust in God, so that in me you may have peace. Just practicing peacefulness, learning to let go of anxiety, trusting the God we worship, can be hard work. We need to hear Jesus' promises of peace over and over again. Being peaceful does not protect us from violence, physical, verbal, relational, or even the violence of separation. We practice peace in spite of situations that work to make us return violence with violence. We practice peaceful behavior. We practice peaceful thinking, letting go of fear of what might happen. We practice peaceful relationships, and it does take practice. When we blow it, we come back around and try again, so that in Jesus we may have peace. Sometimes peace is within us, a sense of calm, a sense of safety. Sometimes peace is between or among us, a sense of partnership or community or a common goal. Sometimes peace is painted on a piece of poster board and carried during a march. Sometimes peace is the subject of long dialogue. You give me this and I'll give you that. A bargain between Russia and Ukraine, or Israel and Hamas, or Pakistan or India, and you could make that a long list. That is a possible end of shooting people, at least for a while. But it's only the beginning of peace. So often in our world, what we call peace is simply a pause in the violence, a chance to regroup so we can fight again. Sometimes peace seems impossible until all of a sudden it can surprise us. Maybe it's just momentary, a flicker, when we catch someone's different point of view, when we see it from their perspective, and even for a moment we're on the same page. When it happens, can we catch it? Can we be grateful for it? Peace takes time between individuals, between political parties, between countries. It's not simple. It's long, hard work. And sometimes it's a simple gift from God through Jesus. My peace I give to you, no matter what. It can surprise us. In our world, peacefulness is both a gift and a real challenge to the powers that be. Let's go back to Advent. In the Gospel of Luke, before Bethlehem, before a pregnant girl rides on a donkey, before innkeepers and shepherds and angels singing, there's a song of peace. It's sung by Zechariah, a faithful priest in the temple, the husband of Elizabeth, who has given birth to a son named John, who will become John the Baptist. We don't usually hear about Zechariah. Advent just isn't long enough. Zechariah sings these words at the ritual of circumcision of his son John. And you, child, John, will be called the prophet of the Most High, for you will go before the Lord to prepare his ways, to give his people knowledge of salvation by the forgiveness of their sins. Because of the tender mercy of our God, the dawn from on high will break upon us to shine upon those who sit in darkness and in the shadow of death, to guide our feet into the way of peace. In the next few weeks, we'll hear lots of words about peace on earth. We'll read them, hear them, sing them, read them on Christmas cards. We may carry a peace sign in a march. But our prayer today is that the peace of Jesus will simply sink into our souls, and that we will find ways to share it with all we meet. Amen.